Hello, everyone. I'm excited to get into some hot takes, but first, let me introduce our guest. Pokeaim, also known as Joey, is the undisputed king of competitive Pokemon singles YouTube with almost 500,000 subscribers. He's not just a casual player or entertaining personality, though. Pokeaim has been on the winning team of the Smogon World Cup twice and even recently placed top 8 at a VGC regional. Pokeaim, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, I don't think I'm no king, but I appreciate you having me, man. It's gonna be a good time. We got some hot takes. I love hot takes. I love agreeing with them. I'm ready, man. What you got for me? Because I know what I got for you.
Yeah,
What do you
we've
got for me?
we first one I picked, an exciting one about hidden power, which I know has been controversial. So we got one from Project Thunderclaw, who says ditching hidden power was a good move. Not only is it very annoying to get the right HP type in cartridge games, even in a showdown context, it creates an extremely annoying guessing game where any Pokemon, or at least any special attacker, could pull out any coverage at any time. So I'm guessing Project Thunderclaw is not a big fan of Terra.
Or old gens. They probably just don't like Pokemon. They just like looking at the competitive aspect of it and the team building, which I can understand. That's an interesting hot take, I will say. I agree. Hidden power was very annoying to get in game, and I think that they kind of did it right with Terra shards in a sense. Like you get the specific Terra shards you have, and you can change your Terra. And I think they should have done that with hidden power, like being able to do it without being able to breed it. But I don't think it's like, oh, they could have whatever hidden power they want. First off, hidden power, having it as coverage is a luxury. For some Pokemon, it is mandatory, but for others, it's just a luxury. Take the special attacker Latios, for instance. Why the hell would it ever run hidden power besides hidden power fire? But then it got mystical fire, right? It's like there's no reason. You're never going to really, even if it did have access to hidden power, it's never going to run hidden power. It has grass, not surf for Pokemon like Tyranitar, for Pokemon like Heatran. It has already Ice Beam coverage, no need for hidden power Ice. Thunderbolt, no need for hidden power Electric, etc. So like, but then you take a Pokemon like Mega Manectric, which only has Electric and Fire coverage otherwise, so even Signal Beam got taken from it. And it's like, okay, well, it kind of makes sense to give this Mega Pokemon, which is already costing me a stone to do, right? It's my Mega for the game. It kind of makes sense to want to give it hidden power. So I don't necessarily think it was a great decision, but I think that they made it more of an opportunity cost now that it is Terra. But I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I like hidden power. And I know I guess this take isn't super hot because a lot of people don't like hidden power, right? But I feel like it's always been pretty balanced. I mean, 60 base power is terrible. Like that is enough to instantly shut down most types, right? Like,
Yeah.
like any move. I mean, you see like Aerial Ace out here, nobody's using that. So the only times you're running hidden power is going to be basically hidden power fire and ice with very few exceptions. That's it. It's fire and ice because there are certain Pokemon
They're
that
four
are
times
really common.
effective.
Exactly. And like that's it. And then you look at a situation like we've got now with Gliscor in Gen 9, and I'm like, wow, hidden power ice would be really nice right about now. Like I would
But only
love to
one
be able to
Pokemon would
put
be
that.
running it, right? It'd only just be Landorus. Nobody else would really be running it. Like maybe Raging Bolt, you could argue, but I would rather run Booster Draco and Oko it too, because it'll live at Hidden Power Ice because it's 60 base power. Like the drop, you made a really good point. The drop from 60, from 70 is big. It's the difference between like KOing a max HP Landorus versus not, from like a strong special attacker. So I definitely, I agree that it's only used on 4 times effective. And I don't think it's as like unpredictable. Lele will run Hidden Power Fire or Focus Blast, or sometimes both. If it's Scarf should always run Hidden Power Fire because you want to always be able to check a Scizor or something like that, right? But whereas Specs doesn't have to, it can run Focus Blast, 2-shot, or Spec Psychic will 2-shot Scizors and things like that anyway. And dealing with Ferrothorn, dealing with Heatran in that regard. Like it was nice for Zapdos, but Zapdos having Hurricane is always good too.
Yeah.
Not having to rely on that is cool, but I mean,
No,
I don't know.
especially
I
in
don't- I
Gen
don't-
9, I agree. Like in Gen
Yeah.
9, almost nothing would be using Terra. But like
it's
even
literally it's literally just Landorus. Maybe Landorus would throw it on it just to be able to hit Gliscor, kind of like how it already puts on Grass Knot sometimes for Great Tusk, but nothing else.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely wouldn't be a big force in Gen 9. And the other thing I feel like why I don't think hidden power was ever that big of an issue is because, like, as you mentioned, like Pokemon like Latios, it's never running hidden power because it's out here with Draco Meteor. Like most of the Pokemon that are running hidden power are kind of struggling already, like Mega Benectric.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
or like I know Blacephalon, I don't think can use Hidden Power for some horrible reason. It's like tragic. But like if it did, it would probably be running Hidden Power like fighting, so it could like actually hit a Tyranitar in Gen 7. I think Blaze, I think because of like the EVs, it can only run. Or can it? No, it can run Hidden Power.
It can run Hidden Power, bro.
So
maybe
Hidden
Power, bro.
Okay, I don't know what I'm totally tripping them, but I remember that maybe I did run Hidden Power on it, or what?
So the thing was, Blacephalon came out Gen 7, right? So Hidden Power was okay, but Pursuit's in the game. Gen 8 would be insane for Hidden Power, but it doesn't matter because it just runs Specs, Overheat, and Shadow Ball and stuff, and can get in and out, get in and out, get in and out. So
maybe I'm thinking of Gen 8 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Again, even going back to it, nothing's really running it, man. It's not like Landorus is taking over. There's Great Tusk. Let me. I raise your Hidden Power, my Ice Spinner, Great Tusk. You know, or Terra Blast, which is 2 times as strong as Hidden Power, more than 2 times as strong as Hidden Power. I believe when you actually do it, because I've calced Hidden Power Ice Jolteon versus Terra Blast Ice Jolteon. I believe it's double the damage.
Yeah, exactly double.
So exactly. Yeah. So it's just like there's always an opportunity cost, and again, going into it, nothing. I'm looking through the entire OU tier list, and the only Pokemon I can think of that would run a Hidden Power would potentially, would be Iron Moth for Heatran, which that would be another 4 times, right? Hidden Power Ground, right? If it doesn't want to give up Terra, if it wants to do a different Terra, and then Landorus for Hidden Power Ice. That's about it, man. Maybe Zapdos Hidden Power Ice too. That's it. It's all the mons that like they already have fine coverage, but giving an electric type a way of hitting Gliscor is great. Everything else, nothing's really gonna run it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
I wish it was in the game. Shoot, it don't matter.
No, me too. It'd be nice to have something to kill Gliscor, because I feel like Gliscor this gen has gone too far. I know the suspect test people didn't want to ban it, but
it's a good mod.
I think Hidden Power Ice is exactly what the doctor ordered right now.
It's a good mod. Even though Gliscor is best when it tears. So how everything Hidden Power would help check it. It just maybe lock down its Terra, but I don't know if that would give you the option for that. Maybe Glamora would also run Hidden Power Ice too. That would be probably
maybe. I don't know. It's liking. It's always going to run Rocks, Mortal Spin, Earth Power, and I feel like
I'm thinking more so like the Meteor Beam offensive set.
Even the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam is almost always running Rocks,
You have
Mortal
Meteor
Spin.
Beam. You have Earth Power. There's nothing really. You need Sludge Wave. I like Sludge Wave a lot on it too.
Yeah, and it's got like Energy Ball, D-Gleam. Like it actually has pretty good coverage. Like basically nothing.
Yeah, it's just gonna tear into it. It's gonna tear.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what you've got. What's your first hot take?
So my first hot take is by Couch Merchant, and they said paralysis is much worse than sleep, and I agree completely. Right now, had this been Generation 5, where when you switch out, your sleep turns reset, and you're guaranteed 3 turns, and it's terrible. Or a different generation like before that where you can sleep, talk, rest, and rest again and things like that. Maybe. But like in this generation, at least I know when I sleep, it's going to be 1 to 3 turns. I know I can burn the guaranteed turn of sleep, and I have a 1 in 3 chance of waking up, right? Paralysis, you might have a good chance of moving, but it's more game changing because it's more frequent, right? The Pokemon that put you to sleep in OU, and I'm going to take an OU perspective since you're an OU channel, would be Iron Valiant and Darkrai, which are the main reasons Sleep God, which are the only reason Sleep God ban, excuse me. Not the main, the only reason Sleep God ban. I actually have another one about sleep as well. And then you have Amoonguss, who basically doesn't go for Spore anymore. Amoonguss is going to be on 1 out of 20 teams, 1 out of 30. Maybe that might even be too generous, because it's hard shut down by at least Golden Ghost Spore-wise. It can Stomping Tantrum, do about 40. I'm nasty plotting on you. I don't really care. It's locked to specific teams, in my opinion. It would be a good Ogerpon check, obviously, but again, who cares? And then Darkrai and Iron Valiant, you'll probably find them, every 10 games, you'll run into them more than once, most likely. So let's establish that, right? So at least in this case, those guys gotta go for 60% accurate moves. Paralysis, though, let me put a little picture. You've set up your Calm Mind Clefable. You are ready to win the game. But your friend over there went for the yellow color on you. They went for Thunder Wave. And now you're praying that you don't get full parried, because the Pokemon that you beat 1v1, Great Tusk, which 3 KOs with Headlong Rush after leftovers, paralyzes you in the first turn. It's like, oh, it's okay. Paralyzes you on the second turn. Oh, it's not okay, because now I've went from putting myself in a position to win, and obviously again, Pokemon at the end of the day, there's odds management and everything like that, right? Paralysis, especially if your opponent's going for Thunder Wave, they have a Thunder Waver. It's just something you kind of have to add into your game plan. But now you just went from having multiple chances to beat this opponent to losing 1v1 to a Pokemon that should almost never beat you, right? A defensive Great Tusk versus a Calm Mind Fizz Def Clefable, right? So I think that Paralysis is way more game changing because it's way more common. At least maybe not as much in Generation 9, but in previous generations, let's take Gen 8 and Gen 7, for sure. Paralysis is everywhere, outside of like Static Zapdos, obviously. Static Zapdos Discharge is the number one, right? And like, but besides that, and Thunder Wave Golden Go, I guess, would be the other one. But yeah, I think it's ridiculously game changing. I think it sometimes you can't do anything about it. Yeah, bad matchup. I like using Clefable as an example because I feel like Clef is the one example, like, that can Calm Mind up and win even in this metagame. It's being used a lot more in tournaments right now too. And I think it's really good. I think Clef is really good. I just, being at that point where it's just shy of avoiding a 2-hit KO. So, and Paralysis just changes that. So I think that just like, I'm purposely going for Paralysis, not always to slow down threats, but to stop them from moving, to give me opportunities to win, and it's just odds management. Take Diamond and Pearl, for instance. You'll literally have DPP. You literally have full teams of Paraspam designed to not slow you down, but designed to minimize how often you'll be attacking. And those teams have been tried and true for 2 decades and are still, good to this day because of that. So I don't know. It's I think Sleep is way worse because it's more.
You mean Paras?
It's way worse than Sleep because it's more common.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from, and I'll say I'm gonna try to look at this just from Gen 9 because that's where I've never played DPP significantly. I have seen enough of like tournament play and just some ladder footage from that tier to say, yeah, in DPP, Paralysis is like absolutely the devil. It is horrible in there. Jirachi nonsense and Paraspam teams, it's awful, and obviously Thunderwave with the 100 accuracy. It's a nightmare. So in DPP, I can't really speak to that. I'll say in the context of Gen 9, I think Sleep is worse, and I loved when they banned that. And there are 2 big reasons for that. So the first thing is Paralysis, there are more tools to avoid, right? Like we've got some great ground types in Gen 9 OU. We had Gliscor, Tusk, Treads, Landorus, Tinglu. And there aren't that many Pokemon spreading Para in Gen 9 OU. Like you'll occasionally see like Superior, and that's pretty tough to avoid. But like, the Zapdos Discharge, the Hatterene Nuzzle, the Static. It's annoying, and Glow King will throw out a Paralysis sometimes. But I feel like it's a lot more avoidable than Sleep is one.
I don't know, man. You say it's avoidable, but your Great Tusk can't Rapid Spin for free on Static Zapdos. Your Great Tusk can't afford a 2-shot. Your Ogerpon can't go for knockoff or Power Whip without you flinching a little bit as Zapdos comes in, right?
I mean, Ogerpon's clicking Ivy Cudgel 100% of the time anyway. Bro has no issues. But like, I hear what you're saying. Like, it's the static in particular is probably the most like, wow, that's maybe not so good example of Paralysis.
It's the most egregious form of it because the Mon can attack and paralyze you, and you can't attack safely is the big one.
But I think the thing about Sleep is there were so many cases, and you're saying like it's a 60 accuracy move. You won't see it that often, and I totally agree with that. I think Sleep is not nearly as competitively good as Paralysis. If that, I completely agree with. But in the sense of this take, like saying much worse than Sleep, I think like they mean in the sense of like brokenness. The problem with Sleep is even because it's bad, it's rare, right? Like I've had cases where I'll switch in my Galarian Slowking to a Calm Mind Iron Valiant, a situation I should be in a good spot in. And then it will Calm Mind, it'll Hypnosis, hit, Calm Mind again, I'm sleeping, Calm Mind again, still sleeping, kill with a Hex. And I'm like, there was absolutely nothing I could have done about that. And there were people there were Alolan Ninetales throwing out Hypnosis, going into a sweeper and getting a free turn of setup just because you'd be sleeping too long. And it wasn't good, right? Like there'd be a lot of times an Iron Valiant would Hypnosis, just miss, and then I'd kill it. And I'd be like, well, nice set. Like there's no way that's going to be a long-term successful strategy. But Hypnosis, I mean, you've got Goldengo and like magic bounce Pokemon, and that's it. You're just like, everything's getting hit by hypnosis, and you are, compared to paralysis, you are so much more helpless against hypnosis. So like there were the sleep ban had some casualties that were rough. Like Yawn Torkoal didn't deserve that. Like I'll fully, Torkoal should have been able to keep its Yawn. And I think there was some like Swampert. I don't know if it gets Yawn this gen. Yeah, it does get Yawn. Yawn Swampert was something I used to mess around with that was nice. But like I've never felt helpless against a random hypnosis Pokemon in the same way I felt helpless against like paralysis.
Since we're going into hypnosis, since we're going into sleep, we could just go into my other hot take, which is banning sleep is a bad decision. Give me Yawn back. I feel like it kind of transitions well. Would you like to?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I do have stuff to say. I actually think banning sleep was a stupid decision, specifically because your examples are, and Iron Valiant and Darkrai, right? Going for these sleep moves. Specifically those two Pokemon. And those are the ones that were not Amoonguss going for Spore, because who cares? Not Torkoal going for Yawn to stop setup on Sun, right? It was specifically those two Pokemon. If those are the only two Pokemon, and based on the pattern that Pokemon has done before, that Smogon has done before, if those were the only two Pokemon that were broken with it, and you can't without a doubt prove that any other Pokemon is broken because of hypnosis, or even if it's just hypnosis, ban hypnosis, which is not. They can't just ban hypnosis, but they did. But I'm saying in the situation that if it was any other thing, they can't ban this, or ban the two Pokemon that are broken with it. There's a whole reason why Annihilape got banned and not Primeape, right? They didn't. They said they couldn't ban Rage Fist because it's not broken on everybody. Hypnosis and sleep as a whole is not broken on anybody, at all. And I think that you could argue, oh, it's not competitive. Then argue the same, because you don't know when you'll wake up, you don't know when you'll move. You can say the exact same thing about paralysis. You don't know when you'll be able to move. And there actually are more, there measures, I would argue, at least in terms of Spore Amoonguss, there's more measures than Thunder Wave from a Zapdos or Nuzzle from a hat, because certain Pokemon cannot come in on those Pokemon, right? Your ground type that's not Gliscor is not always, or Tinglu, is not always coming in on a Zapdos. I'm not bringing out Great Tusk on a Zapdos, unless I'm in a dire situation.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta, but yeah.
Sometimes you have to. Obviously, sometimes you have to. I love Speed Booster, Head Smash, and things like that. But, and again, sometimes, like you said, you do have to. I've had to. It helped me beat Fusion.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, that's it. So I just think that, like, going back, think that banning sleep as a whole was just a bad decision. I don't think that, I think it's hard to argue that, sleep is just highly competitive because you never know what will happen. Paralysis is the exact same way.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. Like, I agree that it's a shame that there were casualties, I guess, of the sleep ban. And it's probable. I think there could have been a better way to do it. At the same time, it is a tricky situation. Like, there are a lot of Smogon banning policies that are kind of inconsistent. Like Shedtail. Take Shedtail, for example. I think Shedtail would be fine on Sceptile. I think it would. I don't. But, it's banned instead of us just banning Cyclizar and Orthworm.
Yeah, so when they banned Cyclizar, I was like, during the SPL, I was the first person. Well, I wasn't the first person, but I was arguing, was like, you banned the wrong Shedtail user. Earthworm, like, if you're going to ban one, you got to ban both. Because Earthworm is arguably the better Shedtail, because it's a slow Shedtail into your setup Mon versus just the free switch into the Mon. Cool. I could have gone for U-turn with Cyclizar on a switching. Like, they're like, Earthworm is, in my opinion, better, but that's a whole different thing. I love, by the way, I don't know if you've read my hot takes, but these are all I picked these specific hot takes because they all kind of coincide. Like, the next one we're getting into from my side, we'll keep one of yours first, is kind of getting into what we're talking about here. So, but yeah, keep going, please.
Okay, that's cool. Well, yeah, the Shedtail is kind of just a quick aside to be like, there's always a mess. It's like tiering is kind of a mess, and they try to do kind of consistent methods, but it's weird, right? Because, like, in the case of hypnosis, like, is hypnosis broken? Well, it's like, the only Pokemon that get the next Pokemon other than Darkrai and Iron Valiant, like, tiering wise, that get hypnosis is Yanmega in RUBL. Now, there are some, like, OU viable Pokemon, like I mentioned, Alolan Ninetales, that get it too. But it's like, it's not a lot of distribution. So, like, the argument for banning hypnosis, like, you could say, well, other than garbage Pokemon, it makes things broken because it's just those two that get it. So you could say, okay, maybe that's...
I raise you a Rage Fist.
I mean, as I said, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies. But like, say you just decided, okay, let's just ban Darkrai and Iron Valiant. Well, people have been wanting Darkrai and OU for, generations. It's like a really loved Pokemon. Iron Valiant, similarly. This is, I think, a super healthy presence in OU. I love Iron Valiant. I love all the sets it can run, but the fact that because it's frail and it can't heal, it never feels like this impossible sweeper that could just like instantly end your game at any moment in the same way like a Dragonite can. So, losing those Pokemon would really suck. At the same time, as you said, Hypnosis banning might not make sense because you've got tons of low tiers that like to use Hypnosis. And then, I felt like there was no good way to really fix the Hypnosis problem, and them settling on just banning Sleep in general. Was it the best way? I don't know, but like I can't think of any way to fix Iron Valiant to Darkrai. What's the way? Would you just ban Darkrai and Ival?
It's called complex bans. Stop being scared to do them. And again, this goes into my next one, but we'll read that one there. But it's called stop being scared to do them. We literally have done them in the past many times. Baton Pass went through 6 different renditions in a generation. I watched them all as I played them all. And there's a few other examples that come to mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the council. I think the Baton Pass going through 6 renditions is partly why complex bans are such a taboo now.
I think that they say the example that's a slippery slope, right? But I argue back, you're the council. Make the decision, and if you see something else that happens because of it, you make another decision. That's what happened with Baton Pass, right? They went through different decisions, they tried different things, and eventually they landed on this because people found out. And I think that's a fine process. We have 3 years per generation. Why do we have to settle on this? And can I just read Entity 602 because we're literally
Go for it. It's all good.
Entity 602 says, Smogon is too scared when it comes to complex bans. Obviously, no one would allow Water Gun Kyogre and OU. That's stupid. But a Terapagos that can't Terra would be really good for the Gen 9 metagame. I agree. Being a spinner that, by the way, where it can't Terra, National Dex, even though I don't think they should have banned Terra in that metagame. But whatever, I digress. Being a spinner that helps against sweepers and has coverage to hit Golden Go while being faster, they didn't add that part. Both being great at role progression, also great in general. I agree. I think that we're at a point, and especially if you want the game to continue to live on and things like that, that it's okay to introduce certain situations that make sense. Annihilate is a fantastic Pokemon, right? It would be such a cool anti-rocker that taunts and final gambits, right? It'd be such a cool Assault Vestmon that can close combat and U-turn and knock off and do all this. Again, I'm talking in the presence of Rage Fist being gone, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not allowing Rage Fist in my scenario, obviously. It'd still be a really cool sweeper with Bulk Up and Terra as well. It still has cool tools. It just can't snowball and destroy stall the way it did before and destroy playstyles the way it did before because obviously no Rage Fist that's just getting boosted for no reason. I think that we're at a situation, and I say this as someone who has been uploading for 16 years. 16 years I've been uploading. I've been part of Smogon for more than that. I guess the AIM account was there, but I've been following and been part of it for a long time. And it's just, I think we're at a point where it's okay to try out complex bans. You take the example of Darkrai finally being around. Like that's breaking the mold, right? Of something like there was a point where they would say, oh no, these covers or these certain legendaries could never come back. Look at Zamazenta, right? And I still have my issues with Zamazenta, as I just hate Zamazenta as a Pokemon. Still, it's a good mon. But yeah, it's just like we're already doing things that we can't. Look at power creep, bro. We got this generation. We got Volcarona used to have a 50% chance to fire dance. Can I introduce you to a Torch Song? They gave the 100%. Oh, Draco Meteor drops your special attack -2. Well, Make It Rain only does -1. Oh, Electro Shot has an auto charge in the rain. Why does my Meteor Beam miss? It's just we're already at a point where power creep has gone to a point where like we have to adapt, we have to do things, and whether that results in us banning a bunch of mons, which literally look at this generation, it did, right? I can name like 40 Pokemon. Okay, I'm not gonna say 40 Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it's like 22. I think we're at something in like the low 20s.
Yeah, but like I was gonna say that 22 or at least 20 of them were banned because of Terra and because of some mechanic they got this generation. Annihilate, Rage Fist plus Terra, Calyrex and Chi-Yu, their abilities are absurd as well, obviously. They're just broken mons, right? Espathra to Terra, and that's a whole Terra thing. That's a whole different situation. But I do think that having certain complex bans would allow for really, really cool strategies that work. And I mean, you look at draft has certain, I don't want to say complex, but has rules set, right? Where you can't do certain things, right? There's Pokemon that might not be able to Terra. Terapagos is a fantastic spinner. Terapagos is a fantastic spinner in National Dex tier, right? So like, I think that we should honestly, and I know you're gonna be play devil's advocate and go for the other side.
Well,
but
hey,
I
you don't know.
I really don't. I think we're at a point where we could just complex ban things. They're like, oh, but it's hard for people to understand. No, it's not. If I try to load up something that's illegal on Showdown, it will literally pop up and say, you can't do this. You don't have all your EVs. That mon can't learn this move. This doesn't happen. Victini must be shiny. Genesect has to be shiny to use extreme speed from an event. Tapu Koko has to be shiny to be timid nature with this particular one. If you can't do naive shiny nature, previous generation, where we got the event where the Tapus came out where they're shiny, previous periods, whatever. So like we're not limited to Pokemon Online. We're not on shoddy battle. We have Pokemon Showdown, which will literally tell us what's there, what's not. And if I can't use hypnosis and from on my Darkrai and Val, and that means that the rest of Sleep is still there. Now, if Sleep obviously still ends up being broken somehow because Amoonguss somehow takes over and people start playing very stupid, right? And I'm sorry, I say that because there's no way Amoonguss could ever be GOAT.
No, Amoonguss is not going anywhere.
This ain't Gen 5. This ain't Gen 5 where you can sleep everybody, right? This ain't Gen 5 where you 3 turns. Gen 5, Sleep needed to be gone, okay? Sleep was stupid. Sleep is so stupid in Gen 5. And those mods are so oppressive, especially when you count in Pursuit and stuff. But I just think we're in a generation, and this is something I'm very passionate about, but we're in a generation where it's okay to adapt and try different things. And it's all right, and people can understand. And let's say, to what end? Well, you're the council. You figure that out. You already do surveys every couple weeks. Okay, test something in. I think it's okay to do things like that. I think it's definitely okay to do stuff like that. But what about for tournaments? Well, then go back to what you did a generation or two ago where we had OU suspect ladders specifically that were separate than the regular OU ladder that could play this. That actually mattered for it. And I'm not talking about when everybody had to pull 40,000 likes to get OU plus Solgaleo. By the way, that mon was terrible in that tier.
Yeah, I like it as in, you said terrible as in like it was broken, or it was like not even a good Pokemon?
It was not a great Pokemon.
That's what I figured. Why is it not an OU right now? Like I think we're gonna get into that later, but I guess
I'm sure you have. See, this thing that I tried to pick questions that kind of flow into each other because these are all this thing I wanted. That's why I looked through everything that people were saying. So I'm just in a point where, hey, it's okay to try complex bands. It's okay to try certain things, and let's see what happens from them, right? Like, oh man, Regieleki being back at Cantera. I mean, okay. Here's just another thing. Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre Cantera, right? Because that's something that National Dex has accepted or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And National Dex Ubers. And then there's certain other forms, certain forms just can't Terra. They can't do certain things. So like we already have Pokemon that are locked to what they can do. Mega Pokemon cannot terrestrialize because they're locked to Mega Pokemon, right? They're locked to Mega Stones. So we already have this, and we already know this. Just do it with other Pokemon too. Just erase that little button. It's not gonna kill me.
Yeah, so I'm honestly on this one. I'm with you. I like so when I was talking about the Iron Valiant situation where there's like no good solution, I'm saying no good solution in the absence of complex bands. Yes. With complex bands, yeah, there are some good solutions. I'm not in Terapagos in particular. I'm a huge advocate for it because I mean it came into OU for a couple days or like maybe a week. I forget how long it was. It did nothing but calm mind, set up sets, and it would
Rock Polish,
destroy it.
Win, yep.
And it was horrible. And then it got banned, and I was like, thank God. But then when I got into Napdex, I'm like, this is exactly what we need in Gen 9 OU. We need good removal that's going to help.
He likes
Stop
Alomola, and that is one of the most frustrating things to fight. Alomola plus Terapagos.
Alo plus Terapagos is a great core. Love that too. But Terapagos just like it was so healthy. I felt like this, and it's not oppressive in Napdex either.
Yes.
And the other thing was, I used to kind of have the just indoctrination of, well, yeah, it is a slippery slope, and where do you draw the line, and also just like the added information, like having this, having to remember, oh, this Pokemon can't do this and this can't do this, and as the list goes on and on. But I had some sometimes like I'll have a tutoring client or someone I'll be like, trying to coach to get better. And sometimes there'll be someone who's really new to the game and they're just like trying to learn. And I'm like, I can kind of help them a little bit because I can give them, tell them how to think about the game and tell them, these are the pitfalls people fall into when they're first learning it. But I always say the big thing you need to do is just play like thousands of games, because right now you need to know so much to play this game. The knowledge you need to just make like decent decisions. You need to know approximate damage rolls. You need to know common sets. You need to know what coverage certain Pokemon have. You need to know speed tiers off the top of your head.
Yeah.
You need to know so much that like the only people that ever get good at this game have put just hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. And often more. So in the context of that, with how much you already need to know just to even be like, what's considered mid-ladder, you need to know so much. Adding on complex bands is nothing, informationally speaking, especially when in the builder, you can just check if your team is valid.
Exactly.
So I'm like,
and the competitive players already are going to check anyway, and they're going to be like, they're going to know. Bro, it's not like we can't just put on a sign as well. When you enter a battle and a suspect test is going on, hey, this is a suspect test battle. This Pokemon's being suspect tested. Check here. Oh, hey, Hypnosis just got banned on Iron Valley and Darkrai. Enjoy being able to use Among Us and stuff. And the slippery slope doesn't make sense to me because you are a council of tournament and dedicated players that is supposed to make decisions for the tier. And it's okay if you make some and not all. One of my favorite methods of banning was the Coco Loco method. We're going back 10 years with this, right? 10, 12 years. I'm on the UU council. And the way Coco Loco did it was, a lot of drops would come, right, from OU to UU. We would get a lot of them, right? Way more than we had now. There were differences in like points and stuff like that. Yours truly had something to do with that. And the M pump to the top and rises and stuff. But he would say, okay, Staraptor, Scolipede, Conkeldurr, Gliscor, whatever, just fell down to the UU tier. Instead of allowing every Mon to be broken and all hell break loose for 3 days and being forced to quick ban or being forced to ban all of them, let's ban all of them right now, and we'll let them in we ban everything, and then you suspect test them back in to see how the tier adjusts to it, how the tier works with it. And I really like this method because one thing that right now for OU, and it's not always the case, but for OU, if a Mon is banned, it's kind of like a death sentence for it, right? We've never had a retest for Baxcalibur.
We had a couple things return. We had Roaring Moon come back.
It's Mons like that, yes, and again, it's not always, but like Mons like a Spothra have never been tested back, right?
Yeah, thank God, like honestly, but yeah, that's true.
I know, but in terms of like Baxcalibur, we haven't had Baxcalibur with our Chaladon running together, checking each other, seeing how that goes, right? And it says I say that because loaded dice, Ice Scales, excuse me, into my my stamina guy. The Archaladon was also like, it's broken on one type of team. But
which was a bad archetype in general. I honestly didn't really agree with that ban, but I guess I'll let you continue. That's sort of a separate topic.
It's like, but these Mons are basically, they're gone right now, right? We've never had them. Those guys are not getting a test back. The only reason Palafin was allowed was because we put 300,000 points or something like that, and that didn't result in anything. Not that it probably would have, but we got Regieleki banned back when we thought Transistor was still 1.5, even though it got nerfed to 1.3 in this generation, right? We didn't know. It got banned before we knew it. Literally, I think a week after it got banned, 2 weeks after it got banned, that's when we find out Transistor was 1.3, not 1.5. This Pokemon got banned because it was doing too much damage that it wasn't even supposed to be doing.
That's
right?
actually wild. I had no idea that was a thing. Justice for Regieleki.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So like, having this method where you quick ban the arguably broken Mons, obviously it's a little bit harder for OU. It's a little bit harder for OU because nobody's dropping down from Ubers unless we take them the way we want to. But quick banning Mons at the beginning, right? Mons are like, okay, this Mon's definitely going to be too much, but who knows? Maybe players can adjust. And then testing them back in, I think is a better method than the way we do it. And I don't know. I think also being willing to actually test them in, even for the sake of, but tournaments. I know a lot of it is because there's tournaments going on. As a tournament player, I understand. Like, there's tournaments going on. We can't have a ladder. We literally used to have an OU suspect ladder right under it, right? That said OU suspect. And you could test the Mons and play it out, right? And that tier actually got played. And the reason I said that tier actually got played is because the recent OU plus Solgaleo, the number one person on the ladder was 1380. And that was it.
Yikes.
Forever. For the whole thing. Nobody played it because it didn't matter. Right? It didn't matter. Also, Solgaleo was garbage. Sorry, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I ran multiple tournaments as well, just to see like how it would in a more tournament setting. And these tournaments consisted of casual players and also really good tournament players as well. And no, it just ended up being like whatever. But I just think that we need to change up a little bit, especially as going into Generation 10, right? We're getting Generation 10 this year. We're getting Pokemon Champions. So we might have a Champions OU and we will have a Generation 10 OU, right? So, and every generation, Pokemon is going harder and harder with making the Pokemon they show up to be really good at what they do, right? Take the 3 starters from this generation, take their signature moves. We have never had signature moves this incredible on starters, ever.
That's for sure, yeah.
Ever. Aqua Step on a Moximon, they gave us Kartana Light. They gave us the Critmon, which is crazy. They gave us Super Inteleon for Meowscarada, right? And then obviously Ace is incredible and Rillaboom was incredible, so they had to go up. And then Dirge is running around in Ubers. Like, bro's doing its thing in Ubers naturally, just raw, just walling Pokemon with itself, and having Torch Song plus like a Learning Voice and Unaware. The whole combination. So we're at a point where things are changing, and it's okay to. I think change is important for survival as well. Of it.
Yeah.
Right now, bro, I was on 1800 on the ladder the other day. It was 2 p.m. Eastern, right? Just standard time. It was a weekend as well. And it took me 4 minutes to find a battle, and my opponent was 1524. Like,
that's rough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and if you look at the lower tiers, if you actually look, like, Showdown's a liar. I'm sorry, this is getting into Showdown, but 16,000 users online, maybe offline on their phones, 2,287 active battles, maybe in Rambats. I don't know, maybe. Like, I don't trust that stuff. But Smogon itself, I feel like needs to adapt certain things, right?
Yeah, no, I'm down. I
can get
agree.
to a whole thing. I can get to a whole thing on this. I'm sorry. That's
all good.
That's not
It's
even a
all
hot
good.
take entity. I think that's a good take.
Yeah, ranting is what this is all about. So that's all good. But yeah, no, I pretty much agree. I mean, yeah, complex bans, I'd like to see that. Like, I mean, and the thing with the slippery slope is just, yeah, as you said, I mean, it's a group of dedicated individuals who play the tier. They understand, like, having the concept of just, a quick ban is also a theoretically slippery slope. We're just kind of counting on the council being reasonable. We do that for pretty much everything. So I think we could do that with complex bans too. And there are some that, like, we could have our Chalanon back tomorrow without Electroshot, and it would just be fun. It would be good. It would be nice, cool to have like a good stamina Pokemon. And it'd be good. It could be a good Stealth Rocker. It can do Dragon Tail stuff. Like, it can be a good support Pokemon. And Terrapago, like, I'd love to see that too. And as far as the changing of tiering methods, like you mentioned, the Coco Loco method, I think you called it. I've heard about that before. I guess the only downside is just that it's going to take a really long time to reach a stable metagame with that kind of constant cycle of testing broken Pokemon. And I do think stable metagames are desirable. Like, in those metagames where you kind of see things stabilize, that's when you see more niche, low tier Pokemon and kind of these interesting counter meta strategies come out. But I think it definitely would be fair for more Pokemon, and it doesn't hurt to give it a try. So I'd say I agree. I'd like to see more things given a try. Now I will say, I always want to mention, because there's a crazy amount of council hate out there, and I definitely don't agree with a lot of the stuff the OU Council does, but they are unpaid volunteers keeping the community running. So I just wanted to mention that.
Most people on Smogon, absolutely.
I just wanted to mention that because I know, like, every time I go on like a council rant, there'll be so many people like, find and burn Finchinator, and I'm like, whoa, like, let's, they're
yeah. Keep in mind also, like, a lot of this stuff is, it's interesting. They do a lot of surveys and take a lot of, like, people's opinions now, which is like, they don't have to do that. And honestly, I think it's good to do. I think also sometimes less of that is more as well. Like, you're the leaders, you can just do it. But I agree. You gotta, like, don't hate on people. Like, it's just, we're allowed to stare our opinion. Just don't hate. Yeah.
So let me go for one of mine here. So this is kind of, I guess a bit similar to Hidden Power Tick. This is from Johannes Neumeyer. Says, Special attackers to this day have such an absurd advantage simply because there are no special versions of Intimidate, Burn, as well as things like Flame Body, Static, and Rocky Helmet, usually only affecting physical attackers. And yeah, I'd say this is kind of maybe not a super hot take because this is a pretty common sentiment. I've seen a lot of people kind of have this opinion that special attackers just have it too good. And to some, like, I definitely get where they're coming from. I think there are some factors people don't consider often. Like, if you look at special attacking stats, they tend to just be not as crazy. A lot of the Pokemon with really good special attack stats have super huge downsides. Like obviously, Hoopa U with 170 attack, 170 special attack, has its issues. Next biggest in at least OU legal is like Hoopa 150, then Thunderous Theory, and then Chandelure, then Vikavolt. It's like Iron Moth is the next like really good special attacker. Whereas like,
and to be fair, that's a form, right? That's like a future form. So that one is kind of the outlier of like everything because, and same thing with Raging Bolt, right? These are specifically supposed to be good Pokemon.
Yeah. And then, the other thing is like the base power, right? Like special attack, they do have their overheats, their Draco Meteors, their Leaf Storms, but with the exception of like some signature moves like Armor Cannon and some crazy stuff like Make It Rain, and like a Goldengo has it too good. I will never argue with that. But, like moves like Close Combat, Earthquake, Knockoff,
Rush. Yeah.
Headlong Rush, like those are moves they just don't have on the special side.
Going into your thing, bro, Hatterene doesn't even learn Moonblast. Like, it's using Dazzling Gleam, 80 base power instead of the most broken move ever.
Yeah, I mean,
they in Moonblast.
They weren't really sparing with Moon. I think that's more of a Hatterene problem than a special attacker problem. But yeah, they do. Some special attackers definitely did just get totally rolled on their move pools.
I agree. I think I don't even think it's a hot take. Like, I think it's just like I think special attackers have it good in that case. But I agree with you in the sense that, like, for the most part, they're using. I don't know. It's interesting because like there's specific physical attackers that obviously have great. If you're a ground type, you're gonna always have Earthquake, right?
Yep.
And
unless
but if you're
like
a ground
Ninkata.
type that like but if you're a ground type that like stands up, or not ground type, but if you're a physical attacker that stands up, you're kind of sometimes limited to Ice Punch, Fire Punch, like weak base power moves insert, and that's why those mons also don't take over OU. Exception being, Iron Hands because it has a booster energy boost and has Swords Dance and also has a billion attack, right?
Yep.
If you actually look through the OU tier list, there is one, maybe two Pokemon, three Pokemon that will ever go for Ice Punch, that will ever at least think about having its arsenal. One, Garg can run it with Sulkier. I've seen it on it. Not going to happen most of the time, but it can have it. Iron Val can run it on SD if it wants to. Not going to happen most of the time, but it can. And then Banded T-Tar could have it if it wants to, if it can fit it. Because you already have your Knockoff, your Stone Edge, your Low Kick or Earthquake, and then whatever your last is. Which Ice Punch can definitely fit there. Like, there's not like these guys already don't have, like they're not really running it. So I guess you could argue, well, they have weaker moves, but they're not really running those weaker moves. Almost every Mon in OU, I can't think of one Mon in the OU tier outside of Dragonite who doesn't really care about the coverage because it terrestrializes anyway into whatever, like that runs a weak base power move on the physical side. That's just like bad. Kingambit has its Kowtow, Sucker, and Ironhead, all good, right? Leonard's just Earthquake and U-turn. I don't know. It's weird. I agree that special attackers have it good, but I mean, I think the physical attackers that are good are just good, period, regardless, right? So it's a weird one.
They're also, the other thing is I like that they're different. Like, I know some people like, I want like I want a physical Assault Vest, and I want a special Intimidate, and I want Freeze to turn into Frostbite, which, have special attack. But it's like, I like the fact that my special attacker isn't going to get ever screwed over by Static and Rocky Helmet and like, that's nice. That's really nice. So it just like, I kind of like being able to put on like a Choice Specs Iron Valiant and click Moonblast and just feel safe in that. And that I know this thing isn't going to get paralyzed by a Zapdos. And like you could say, well, maybe then just remove Static or Flame, Rocky Helmet and all that. But, I feel like that maybe physical attackers would be a bit too much in that case. So they kind of, I think physical and special attackers have different strengths, and special attackers are safer for sure. And I like that. I like that they're different.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we got to take here. This one's from Gil, who says, Psychic has become the weakest type by far. and it should be buffed in some way. So I agree. I think Psychic is the worst type. Honestly, I know Bug and Ice get a lot of hate. I think Psychic is by a noticeable margin the worst type. What do you think?
Well, it went from being the best type to them creating Dark type because it was the best type, to them also creating Steel type as well because it was the best type, and also to help deal with normal types too. So you can argue that they're definitely not some of the greatest mons, but they also have some crazy trade-offs, right? You look at OU, and there are some really good Pokemon because they're Psychic types in the tier, and I think one of the best ones outside of Glow King, which is obviously incredible, and it is actually always running Psychic moves for the most part, right? Either Psychic Noise, Future Sight, whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at Crown. I think Crown is phenomenal because of its Psychic typing.
Yeah,
like the Psy Noise on this guy and Future Sight are so good, especially on Spectre Assault Vest. It's beautiful because it actually allows it to break. I like the Psychic typing for that. I like being able to have that. And then obviously Deoxys, like a strong Psycho boost for either the Eject Pact or the Stealth Rock or like Life Orb sets. Like it's still a good strong stab. I think that Psychic still has strong neutral coverage, and the mons that dominate, despite being Psychic type, dominate because they're either really good at what they do, aka Deoxys, and dominate as in like they're just good at what they do. It's not dominant. Nobody's dominating with Deoxys speed in this day and age.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Sadly not.
they're either really good at what they do, or they get some benefit because of that Psychic typing. Right. Obviously, the Steel typing on Iron Crown is really good, but the Psychic typing is what makes it frustrating. The Psy Noise, so I bring out my resist to Tachyon Cutter, and then I can't heal off my guy. Oh, my Blissey is losing to Tachyon Cutter plus Psychic Noise, or Psy Shock, right? Or Stored Power, right? Mm-hmm. Like a Spothra. Like they be making them, we just be banning them. I don't know. they're still pretty nasty. The Psychic attribute is what makes a lot of these mons still really, really, really strong. So.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. Like Psychic has, I think the strength of Psychic type is their moves, right? Moves like Stored Power, Psy Shock, Psychic Noise are super unique. Like no other type has that many.
And their coverage,
just game-breaking moves.
Coverage.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I
didn't say Hatterene.
Look, yeah, Hatterene's a little rough. Latias isn't. I guess Latias is okay on coverage. It's doing okay. Yeah, they generally have pretty good coverage. But, I feel like the problem is you could say that about, like, any type. Like, almost, I mean, if we look at most of the Psychic types, they're, like, rotting in ZU. Like, we got stuff like, we got Calyrex, we got Hypno down here, we got poor Rabska. Never had its time in the sun. But, I mean, any type is going to be good. Like, there are arguments for, like, I could gas up any type and make it seem, like, amazing. But it's got to be at least like near the bottom. I think I think as a standalone typing, yes, it would be near the bottom. But if I look at every Psychic type that is good in OU, and not just the 4 that are in OU, but also I take Latios as a really, really good Psychic type that's used a lot in OU. Mm-hmm. I think they're still like, it's because they're Psychic type that they're good. Because the Psychic types have one thing that helps them. No matter what, at the end of the day, their stab move is 90 base power, 100% accurate, right? That's
if
true.
They want to, and they don't even run it. They don't even run it because they have the option to shut down your healing, to attack you 2 turns in the future, to lower your special defense -2, to Draco Meteor Psychic you, right, with the Psycho boost.
Yep.
Like they all have this option, or just boost past you with Store Power. Right, like they all have this option. So I think that Psychic is. I don't think Psychic can afford to be a better typing because the better version of Psychic is simply Fairy, right? It's Fairy, right? Like they basically hit damn near the same things, and it actually trades off for its weakness. It deals with the weakness, but still, as in the dark, but it still doesn't deal with steel. So like I feel like that's the evolved version of Psychic, which was the Fairy typing. That's the way I see it. But I still think Psychic types are really good.
Yeah,
I like.
I don't know. I feel like they're pretty different, but I mean, I can kind of see. I guess they sort of have a similar aesthetic to them.
It's just from the offensive point of view is the thing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like Poison is kind of, they have a very different relationship to Poison, very different relationship to Dark.
The Dark
is sort of
that's the trade-off. It's I still think it's the better version of it because
that's fair.
Have something there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say is worse than Psychic? If you had to name a type that you think is worse.
Bug.
Okay, going with the classic.
The thing
Fair
with
enough.
Bug is that like Bug has good moves. Bug has a move that everybody uses. U-turn, right? Mm-hmm. But shoot, I'd even put Rock down there as well if I had to.
Yeah, I was
Rock
just
has one of the
thinking
best,
that.
yeah. Rock has one of the like Stone Edge. If Rock had better 100% accurate moves, it'd be used more, right? As a typing, right? Tyranitar is good because of Sandstorm Chip, because of resistances, because of knockoff. And then I love Cornerstone and OU. I love Garg because Garg is not Garg. Like Garg is annoying as a rock type. Garg is annoying as a regular Pokemon, but that's a combination of it's Purifying Salt plus Salt Cure.
Yeah.
Right? I think that Rock is definitely a lower typing, and then obviously we have the upper version of it, right? Which would be the Garg, the Tyranitar, which is, just recently moved back up to OU. Sand is pretty good. And then you have like Ogerpon Cornerstone, which I think I love that all the Ogerpons are good. And then Rock kind of like drops all the way down, in terms of it. There's not really a mid-level when it comes to Rock, in my opinion. You could probably argue Arcanine could be there, but that's a combination of that one's gonna miss too, but it's also Rockhead that has to do with it. It's just the offensive dual stab. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I would
fair.
put Rock and Bug on the bottom, but they also have some of the best moves in the game. Well, U-turn and then Stone Edge when necessary.
Yeah, it's hard. Also hard to think if we want to give Rock type credit for Stealth Rock. So it gets a little bit wonky there too. But I think Rock, you could actually. That's now that I look through the Rock types, I might have to reconsider and think if I want to put Rock or Psychic at the dead bottom. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so
why are all my moves missing, bro? Why am I forced to use Meteor Beam on a mon that just came out this generation when I just saw what you did for Electroshock?
No. Everyone wants Rock types to get more accurate moves. I think Power Gem is pretty much it. I want more. I think we'd all love to see Stone Edge, 90 accurate, or just honestly nerf it power and just give it 100 accuracy. Like I just want a 100 accuracy physical Rock move. I think it deserves it.
The thing is, Rock and Flying specifically are the ones they don't usually give 100% accurate to because they're some of the best moves in the game. Flying is such a great offensive typing that they cannot give it 100% accurate move. You're either using Acrobatics, which costs you your item, or you have Aerolate, or you Terrasilize, right? But you're throwing off a Hurricane, Air Slash, a Bleak Wind, because Flying is just so good of a type, and Rock is the same thing. It's because they hit so much. Right? They hit so much, and also every Pokemon that uses them has phenomenal coverage as well. Options to hit the counters is a big one. Flying is what? Resisted by Steel? Oh, you get Heat Waved. Yeah. Resisted by Electric? Well, I'll U-turn out on every Electric type with Tornadus, right? Or I'll knock off their item. Or they'll still take, if it's Specs, you still take it in half from my Specs Hurricane if you're an Electric type, right? Because they're not as bulky as the Steel types for the most part. So it's just these two typings are they're so good offensively that they hinder them, and that's what makes them Flying is a top tier type. But,
for sure.
But the Rock should be or could be a top tier type if it had what Earthquake is for ground types, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And I get why they don't. Like, I'm not necessarily saying we need a 100 accuracy Stone Edge out there. I just wish the balancing wasn't accuracy.
Bro,
like,
it's because every rock type has 120, 140 base attack, bro. It's because every single one of them is a powerhouse. Every single one of them.
Yeah, but like even Rampardos, if we make Stone Edge like 85 power, 100 accuracy, like
they're never gonna do anything for Rampardos, man. They already made Tyrantrum, which is better Rampardos.
That's true. But like I think that would be a nice change. I'd like to see weaker, more reliable moves. Like like Ghost type, they gave it Shadow Ball.
But not Power Gem. I don't need no 70 base power Gem.
Power Gem stays. Power Gem
stays.
Give
me my 80 base power rock move that has a chance to like hurt you a little bit, like spit in your eye or something. I don't know. Pocket sand.
Yeah, I would like to see Power Gem get a buff. I loved clicking Power Gem with Choice Specs Nihilego in Gen 8. It's like a drug because it'll never miss, and it's rock type. It felt so fun to click. I wish I could do that with more rock types, but unfortunately,
literally
almost nothing can do that.
Nothing can at all.
All right, so let's move on to your next hot take. What do you got for me?
Oh, Zamazenta Z by 7A. Zamazenta Z would be worse than regular Zamazenta in OU. Okay, so we had them both in OU at a point, and one of them got banned, one of them didn't. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I genuinely believe the worst one got banned. I genuinely believe Crown was worse. Now hear me out. It's slower than regular Za. It's slower than a lot. it is item locked. So it can never run leftovers. It can never run heavy duty boots. It can never run choice band. It can never run life orb. It's forced to run that. It always is going to take spikes damage. And it is, yes, the heavy slam is strong, right? Having steel stab on that is beautiful. And the fighting steel typing is also amazing too, because the neutrality to Moonblast and stuff is huge. But I don't know, man. I played a little bit of National decks today with it. I fought opposing ones. I just had Zapdos. I was chilling. Same as the regular dog. And I think if I played like a spike stacking or T-Spike, like if T-Spark are up, for instance, plus Golden Go, you really have to spin that away. You don't got to do that for regular dog. And then will it Terra Ghost to avoid opposing fighting move? And then, get status. Will it Terra Electric and then lose to Earth Power Landers, which it almost loses to anyway with Rocky Helmet plus that. It can't recover the chip. I just think that it would be... I think it's worse. I think it is worse. And I was generally surprised when it got banned. I think the bulk is crazy compared to the other one, but I feel like as an oppressive one, especially now that we've also adapted to Za as it's kept going, I feel like the other one was... I feel like the worst one was banned too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the item lock is huge, dude.
Oh, it is for sure. It was a quick ban, wasn't it? If I recall correctly.
So they were both allowed, and then that one ended up getting quick ban. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I also remember being surprised, because my first reaction to both Zamazentas being in the tier was like, this iron defense stuff is kind of annoying. But as you said, people have adapted, right? Like you run physically defensive Glow King now. Hatterene got a lot more popular, I think, largely because it's so solid into Zamazenta.
Yes.
Peturunt is a thing now also because of Zamazenta. Wheezing, the fact that it's super good again. So like a lot of things have come up in the tier that have been that are here partly to counter Zamazenta, specifically Iron Defense, because that's the set that when people complain about Zamazenta, it's almost always Iron Defense.
It's always Iron Defense.
Like I don't think
nobody
anyone
cares about Life Orb Dog, Boots Dog, Screens Dog. Oh, just to give you a date, by the way, this Pokemon got banned June 7th, 2023, alongside Chienpao.
Wow, that's a while ago. I thought Chienpao went way earlier. But yeah, so I honestly, and I used it in Natdex too. So for those who are unfamiliar, the Natdex tier is actually suspecting Crown. I think it's still going on. And yeah, yes. So I have the benefit of having used this very recently, just like you. And I'm a little split on it because... So on one hand, the speed, the lower speed is a big deal in Natdex because that's going to get you outsped by like Tapu Koko, Megalopony. In OU, that speed is really only relevant for other Zamazenta. There's nothing else in the OU tier that's in that range that it cares about.
You lose to
speed.
You lose to opposing dog, which is faster than you and hits you super effectively.
Yeah, that's true. That's, as I said, like, other kind of speed ties and then Zamazenta. Yeah, other Zamazenta is a problem. But it's not a huge nerf, and the 140 special defense, that's really nice to have. And then also the steel type, having that automatically so you can't get poisoned. And you can actually, you can use Gliscor as setup fodder.
Yeah, when I said T-Spike, I was talking about with Terra. Like, because I assume Terra in the situation.
Yeah,
I should have been more clear.
No, I didn't think you were talking about it getting like poisoned by T-Spike, because it does have to Terra a lot, especially like since it doesn't have leftovers. It really needs to kind of ID up faster than regular Zamazenta does in a sense. Yep. It doesn't really have as many opportunities. Just because, you can use Rest, but Rest is obviously garbage, especially because...
but this one can't switch in and out like the other, like leftovers or Boots Dog and everything, basically.
So it's I don't know, it's a bit difficult because the better stats are nice, the steel typing is nice.
Keep in mind, Peturunt didn't exist.
That's true, Peturunt didn't exist. I think if it dropped to OU, it would not be broken. Do I think it would be worse than regular Zamazenta? I think they'd be pretty similar. Because as I said, the one set that's problematic ever is Iron Defense. That is that is the only set that's problematic. And Zamazenta Crown having that stab heavy slam and big. Just that like I could see the Iron Defense sets being a little challenging, sometimes more challenging than regular Zamazenta, especially with the buff, but like the 25 point boost in defense. So that that body press is going to be hitting extra hard. So like
I just think the regular Roar the regular Roar Zamazenta sets are just going to outclass it, like just going to phase it out.
It could be. It's possible. I mean, overall, I would say Zamazenta is a better Pokemon. As far as which one's more broken, I feel like they'd probably end up similar. But yeah, it was weird. I thought it was weird when it got banned. I didn't think it was like a great presence for the tier, so I wasn't upset about it. But yeah, I do remember thinking, well, that's kind of surprising.
I wanted both of them banned at the time. I was like, if you're gonna ban one, ban both. And ban the other dog was the one that was pissing me off at that time of the meta, just because how fast it was. Bro was 412. I mean, he's still 412 speed. I still hate him. I still don't like him. But now it's different because we have Petra and stuff. So I feel safer.
Yeah.
If there's one thing,
huge.
I think it's interesting though, because like obviously the stab heavy slam is huge, right? Like this deck doesn't have to Terra to beat like Val and stuff like that, and or even anything like that. Doesn't have to worry about that. It would still have to Terra Fire to avoid Wisp from Dragapult, and then like the Dragapult Lando builds, Gliscor builds, Toxic after. There's just a lot. Interesting. I don't know. I think that like at this present point, I feel like it'd just be fine. It'd be the same. I'd hate fighting it, and it'd be the same. I don't think it'd be broken. I just think it'd be annoying to fight. I was playing Net decks, and like I was winning with it on the high ladder, but it was also I played one person who had like Tapu Lele, Megalopony, Gliscor. The Gliscor was EQ-less, right? Like so it couldn't do anything to me, but it wasn't doing much anyway. The Alomola was Scaldless, but the biggest thing was, here's a screenshot of their team. The biggest thing was they got me to like 40-something%, but their Lele wasn't Scarf. So like they couldn't, and they weren't running EQ, and their Lele wasn't Scarf in a metagame where Zamazenta is being allowed. And they were really high. They were really higher up on the ladder than me. So it was just interesting. Like,
yeah, this team gets farmed. This team was
that's what I'm saying. It wasn't Scarf Lele. It literally wasn't Scarf Lele, and it was EQ less Gliscor, and no taunt either. Like it's just as simple as set up and go, and there was no Scald and Aloe. So it was just like, yeah, I just set up and go from there.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating thing. So I feel like in both in Nat decks and OU, the problem is, like, is this worse than regular Zamazenta? Probably yes. Probably ID sets are similar, but because Zama can do more, probably like just non-crowned Zamazenta is a better Pokemon. But like, what is this adding? You know, I don't get the sense this is going to be like a great resource to balance teams, or, you know, like really like a defensive staple that's going to allow you more slots, more freedom with the other Pokemon. Yeah. It's just going to kind of be
why can't
annoying.
I use both at the same time?
Yeah, that sounds great. That's definitely what the tier needs. We need two Zamazenta forms at once. But I will say,
interesting. It definitely doesn't add. I agree with you.
Yeah, but because it's like right now you can beat now, like not all. Like there's an ID Zamazenta for every team. You know, like I faced one that's like Terra Dark Crunch with max attack, and then it's like, well, that's rough for my poor little Petra. But like in most cases, you have a Petron, you have a Hatterene, you have like a Weezing, like you're going to be fine against the Zama. And if you add Crowned in, now it's like, oh, well, that doesn't work anymore. Like Weezing's going to get blown up by Heavy Slam if it's not at absolute full health. Hatterene's going to get smoked by Heavy Slam too. And, you know, like, so it's like, and even Moltres, in the case of Moltres, like it could pull up with Stone Edge. So it's
it won't kill, but it still can.
Yeah. So it's like you're gonna have Petron will still be solid, Zapdos will probably be more common. But it's just irritating. Like I don't want this Pokemon in the tier. I don't think it'd be broken, and I don't necessarily even think it deserved the ban, but I'm also not upset about the ban.
Yeah, I would have banned both at the time. I'm not gonna lie. I would have just banned. I'm just surprised it got banned in front of the other one, because I felt like the other dog was just so nasty at the time. But you got to also remember, this was a week after the Regieleki ban, and like a couple days after the Bagirna ban as well. So like this was really, really, really early in SV. And homie's never been tested or came back, which I'm fine with, honestly. Like I said.
Yeah, maybe unjust, but perhaps an injustice we're okay with. Well, I got another take here. I think this is definitely a hot take. This is from Bork Big Frightened 2, who says, hazards are objectively overcentralizing, but that's a good thing. The mini games of laying / keeping hazards up and removing them is very interactive, and hazards help keep a reasonable timer on games. quite the take. When I first read this, I mean, I put it in here because it was a really hot take, but I partly don't know what to think of it. I know when I had, I think it was BKC on here who was talking about kind of like Stockholm syndrome with hazards. I've never, at least for any significant amount of time, played a metagame where rocks and spikes aren't a factor. So this is kind of just how I play Pokemon. And yeah, to like a large extent, a lot of the game, and it's certainly like kind of every new mechanic, in fact, you add to the game boosts the skill ceiling. Playing around hazards is a skill. So to some extent, I get what they're saying. On the other hand, you do have these interactions where like sometimes some teams are just going to be helpless against certain hazard stack builds. Like if you have a spin blocker that just totally shuts you down. And then other times you're at the spot where if you click rapid spin, like you're in this pure 50-50 where you probably win the game if you click rapid spin on the right turn, or, you catch their spin blocker coming in with an attack. So I kind of see both sides of this, and I don't really have a strong opinion on hazards, as controversial as it is. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar sense as you. I do get a thrill when Moltres comes in. I predict it, I knock it off, and I don't get burnt with my Great Tusk. Knowing that the hazards I lay are actually now going to play a role in my King Gambit winning the game later. Like I like that the hazards give you play for it. And even then, it's not like they're free. Take Samurott, for instance. Your hazards have accuracy. So it's not like guaranteed. We do have phenomenal spinners. We have the phenomenal spinner, right? The number one guy that's around there that can beat him. We also have those 50-50 angles. I'm like kind of in a situation where I like what they add to the game. I don't think that they're as limiting as they were in the past because of heavy-duty boots. Do I hate when I put up a hazard stack and my opponent has 6 boots mons? Yeah. But do I feel some type of way when I know that my knockoff will get me some value no matter what? Yes. So I'm just like in a situation where I don't have like I'm not like Kevin who like, and I know even like ADV and spikes and stuff, he had a lot to say about that. Like I've had conversations with him when it comes to that, but
that's BKC for those that aren't familiar. That's, Kevin BKC.
Yes. Long time friend, over like 17 years now maybe. But that I don't know. That's like a take that's like I don't disagree or agree with. It's more like I like the hazards are there. I don't hate the hazards are there. And I think they do bring a lot of good for the game, and I think sometimes they bring some bad for the game. Like I love the fact that Moltres is OU right now, and I love that it's able to work in OU. It's very annoying. It's literally Zapdos V2, but I like it, and I like that we're able to play a game where you can use that. But on the flip side, I hate it because I can't click a move without, fearing being burnt. So should we be I blame boots more than I blame hazards too, and even though the boots are they came from the hazards. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in a gen with Goldengo and Samurott and Tinglu, I feel like boots are the solution, not the problem. But I guess that's kind of a whole nother rabbit hole, because the boots versus hazards, like so many people blaming one or the other and some just wanting to get rid of them both. I mean, it's not a take, but we can discuss it. Like, do you think boots are bad?
I wouldn't mind like a boots clause, I guess.
Like one
but
per
I
team?
also like, yeah, like 2 per team or something like that. But I also think, if you're gonna do that, give me them complex bands. Like, if you end up doing this, so I don't know. I'm 50-50 on whether. Yeah.
I feel like the meta's
it gets
moving
annoying
away.
if I'm running a specific team. It gets very annoying, obviously, if my opponent has boots and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like whatever. I'm playing this metagame. If I didn't want to play a game with rocks, I'd play Gen 3 and below.
Yeah.
If I hate Spike, I'll play Gen 1.
Yeah, that's Oh, Gen 1. Oh boy, Gen 1. I mean, that's a brutal tier. But that don't want BKC to overhear me. But God, I hate Gen 1. But boots. I will say on the matter of boots, I feel like the meta is kind of moving away from it. I feel like the more time you give people, the more they realize they want to run real items like choice specs that like do stuff and are strong. And like tight
or even leftovers in Rocky Helmet, like leftovers Sub-D Curum, Rocky Helmet plus like Cinderace plus Hatterene. Literally, I fought in OST.
No, like boot spam used to be everywhere. and now it's kind of fallen off.
Yeah. It's better. Sometimes it's better to run leftovers, and this is also another reason why I think that regular Za is better than the other Za. But yeah,
no, it's true.
It's
fair.
Weird. It's weird, man. I feel like it's I don't know. I'm okay with heavy duty boots. I think the knockoff having better distribution, hopefully again in the future, will be good for this situation. Nobody really complains. I do like hazards though. And then you can use your favorites. Sometimes you're limited to the items, but also you're not always. Like if you want to use Charizard, use Charizard. Just make sure you have a spinner on there, maybe Magic Bounce, or run boots on it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or who cares?
Zard's not bad actually in OU at all. I mean, I guess but like, you put it on a Sun team, but with a Hatterene, as long as you don't run into a Flash Fire, Ceruledge, or Heatran, there is nothing stronger.
Charizard and Rain in OU too. Like
Rain, that's interesting. I feel like
Talonflame Rain is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you're gonna run a fire flying type in Rain, let's go for those priority Hurricanes.
Talonflame's the GOAT, man.
So I think we've got one hot take left each. You want to go first, or shall I?
You go first, because I've definitely taken like 3 in a row.
All right, let's go for it then. We've got one here from AK Arian who says, "Give healing moves their PP back." So by this, I don't know if we're talking 16 or 32.
They're definitely meaning 16.
I'm gonna hope 16.
Nobody's going back to Gen 3.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. But yeah, I'm gonna say I hate this. It is I was like, that is a hot take. Some people showing up in these comments with some freezing cold takes. This is definitely a hot take. I'll give them that, but I hate it so much. The recovery nerf was great because first of all, for Pokemon that are going to use recovery moves, outside of the context of just stalling, right? Like, when you have Roost on your DD Dragonite, you're not using... The only time you're going to use more than 8 of those is if you are trying to PP stall an attack with, like, multi-scale. And that's a similar thing with stall teams. Like, even, like, Blissey. How often is Blissey burning that many soft builds? Like, it's trying to PP stall something. And that sucks. PP stalling is generally, like... In some sense, as a competitive Pokemon player, I can appreciate kind of the artistry of really long games where you have to be intentional about PP. And there's something, I can appreciate about that. But generally, it's not the most fun gameplay. And I feel like also... Suicune. Oh, yeah. Well, that's, I guess, maybe you'll have a different perspective on this. But the other thing I really liked about, like in the case of something like Blissey with soft builds, like it opened up new ways to break stall. And this is partly personal preference. Like I'm not a fan of the stall archetype. Like I'm not going to hate on the stall players, but I'm not a fan of the archetype. I think I don't enjoy playing against it. I think it's kind of a shame it's so viable. But like a Pokemon like Hydrapple now can like Life Orb Nasty Plot sets I love. And one of the ways these can break Hydrapple. Stall teams, cool. Even if you don't get like, your Fickle Beam going all out, you can PP stall Blissey. You can just Nasty Plot as they come in, attack them, and you will PP stall them eventually. And that's just a strategy that would have taken so long in other generations that wouldn't be as much of a viable thing. So I feel like this is kind of, it didn't hurt any of the offensive, but like if you're using Recover and your Nasty Plot Deoxys Speed, or your Latios, they won't care at all about the recovery nerf, but all the like annoying PP stall situations got removed. So the recovery going to APP, almost everybody loves it, and I'm with everybody. I think it's great. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not trying to fight 16 PP Protect Garg. That's the big one that comes to mind with that. That guy would be, it's already a menace. That guy would be ridiculous with that. I miss it on Pokemon like that can work on stall teams, but are okay on balances too, like Gastrodon having only 8, or like even a Quagsire. I used to love Quagsire on like certain balances too. I think that Corviknight, who's usually on stall teams, yes, but also on non-stall where it's forced to take Kyurem Specs Ice Beam and then can only now just take 8 of them because of pressure, it hurts that. I just think it was weird that they nerfed that but not Wish. Obviously, like Wish probably should have gotten the nerfs too, even if it's a 2-turn move. I think that's their justification for it. But no, I would never give them I would never give it back. I think it's fine as is. It sucks when you're on the receiving end though, and like I'll use the example, you're using Corviknight, you're fighting a Kyurem, and you know, it's either Ice School Spear Kyurem and your Iron Defense and it crit you and you have to roost, or it's Specs and you happen to be Spidef Corviknight in this day and age, which is a little rare. Maybe your team's really weak to Kyurem, so you're running Spidef, and you know, you can only switch in so many times. You take all their Ice Beams, but then they still have Freeze Dries, you know, that are still doing a lot of damage to you too. So I'm cool with how it is. On the PP stuff though, I'm kind of indifferent. I love doing it. I had a tournament game, an RU Grand Slam, where I had a Suicune and I was able to beat a Jellicent by switching in on it every single time it attacked, and then obviously commenting up one time and then it going for taunt, and then it's forced to attack me. I rest, and then I switched it out. I switch it back in. Like it was such a fun battle for me because like this is a Pokemon that shouldn't beat this Pokemon, but I was using rest. I wasn't using Subcom Mine. I was using my OG favorite set of all time. Nice, respectable Calm Mind, rest, Suicune. But I love situations like that, but I also think it would suck as well, even in rest case, like Dozo being able to do it more, like actually be like, I think pressure and beating Dozo 1v1 as well. It's pretty cool being able like the nuance behind it and like the intricacies, like everything you're doing. It's just really cool to say, hey, they have 2 rests left, I'm chilling, or hey, I'm going in on this and I'm attacking. I like it. Like I definitely don't. That's definitely a hot take. That's definitely a hot take.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, it gave a lot of options to outplay recovery that wasn't there before. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So all right, let's do it. Final hot take. What have you got?
So my final hot take. What was my final hot take? Oh, stall is not a. It's by Zcarrot. Stall is not a bad playstyle. There's almost always a way to beat it, and it's actually quite fun to play and to play against, especially when double switching to predict something your opponent does. Okay, so I agree. First off, I agree sometimes, and this is why sometimes. So first off, stall is probably it's viable. It's definitely, in my opinion, the worst it's been in terms of like, because it has so much to contend against.
I'd agree.
It's still good. It's still good, but it's definitely the worst of it. Like Gen 7 stall, some versions of Gen 6 stall, before they banned certain mons were just ridiculous. They can beat everything. In this particular game, I can beat things because of the nerfs and because of the mons available at us and the broken mons we have. I do think it's very fun to break a stall team when you have a team that has options and is prepared for it. I think people hate fighting stall when their team is not prepared for it and not good, and that's kind of, you can't beat everything with every team, but like if you're playing on high ladder, for instance, you're playing the 1800s, 2000s, you're gonna fight stall eventually. You're gonna fight stall. You're gonna find it up there. I remember one video I loaded up for my road top 10. I loaded up sub Primarina because the video before I fought 3 stall teams and my team couldn't beat them. Like it was not prepared. Even if I got the plays right, my team couldn't beat it. So they're okay.
Yep.
And I fought next one. I loaded up sub Whirlpool, Terra Ghost, Psychic Noise, Primarina. I love Psychic Noise. Shout out to Psychics. And I fought 4 stall teams that video, and I smashed them all. I would trap the Blissey, and then the rest was, doesn't matter. Because the Blissey gone, special attackers reign. So, but I do understand, like, oh man, I hate these long games. I think that's like weird, because if you plan on playing a bunch of games anyway, like what's the difference between one versus this? I love working hard for my win when it, when I earned it. But again, I understand when my team is not good and I'm getting smushed. But also on the other side as well, I have played stall, and my favorite playstyle back in the day was semi-stall. And I didn't do as much on YouTube for Generation 4 because people just didn't like watching it. But I really loved outplaying Pokemon like Life Orb and Fernape with stall, which is really hard, back then. Or like triple axle, like Weavile in Gen 8 Banded Weavile and things like that could actually like deal with it. I loved being able to outplay it actually, because I didn't play stall like passively, switch to counter. Obviously there's some matchups where your opponent just doesn't have a good team, and switch to Blissey on special attacker, switch to physical wall on physical attacker, get up a stealth rock, you win the game, But I love those games versus good players where I had to play aggressive stall and I doubled around and had to do things. I think it's a lot less interesting to fight Alamola versions in national decks, Alamola, Terabagos, Zard Y in Nat decks, than it is to play stall in OU. I think Terra and all the options we have are there. But again, when I load up, I just load up viewer teams sometimes, right? I'm not building all the time. I load up viewer teams, and sometimes they just can't deal with stall, and I happen to fight stall 2-3 times in a video, and I just lose. I'm like, damn, man, this sucks. Like, cause I can know at preview, like, oh man, unless they mess up, I will lose for sure. But I love that also I'm fighting you, I'm conditioning you to a sense where I'm waiting for you to mess up, and I call it correctly when you do, and I take advantage of it. I love games like that. Unwinnable one is what we call it.
Yeah, no, there are definitely stall games where I will say, yeah, the long games and kind of the mind gaming, it can be very rewarding. Stall games can be some of the most rewarding games you ever play. That being said, overall, I gotta disagree with this take. I mean, so the couple things I want to clarify first. Once again, not hating on stall players. It's a viable archetype, and in fact, if you're in the tournament scene, you absolutely should be using stall. Like if your opponent scouts your previous tour games and see that you never bring stall, you're making yourself way easier to prep for. So if you're a tour player, you should be bringing stall, at least sometimes. That being said, I think it's a shame this archetype's viable. I find it, and it's not the length that gets me. It is obviously, especially when you're in one of those kind of more losing, hopeless matchups, obviously the long game doesn't feel good. But what really grinds my gears about stall, I find it to be by a large margin the most matchup fish archetype, right? Because like just like you were saying, you were playing with these viewer teams where you load up and there was nothing you could do. You could get every single play right. There's even sometimes even games where you could literally know what move they're going to click and there is nothing you can do about it. And no archetype produces those matchups nearly as often as stall. And then, right, you put on your Terra Ghost, Whirlpool, Primarina, and you smash every stall team because it's like now you have a thing. So many stall games are pretty much over at preview. Like if I pull up with my Terra Steel Metal Coat Goldengo, most stall teams are done. That's pretty much it.
Oh, I love Terra Steel.
I love it too. It's like, it's fun, but then you'll have these matchups where it doesn't work. Like they end up with like like Terra Steel Claw's Eye, or you don't see that too often anymore, but they have that. And then you're like, well, I guess I lose. They had the right thing to counter me. And then I had this recent game in Nat Dex against stall team where I had a sub metronome Curem, which is like one of the best stall breakers, sub metronome freeze strike Curem. And I was like, I loaded up to the game and I saw Corviknight and I immediately said, if this is a sub tech Corviknight, because protect is gonna stop metronome boost. If this is a sub tech Corviknight, I lose. If it's not a sub tech Corviknight, I win. Turned out to be a sub tech Corviknight and I lost. And it's like, that was game. The game was decided based on that Corviknight set. And stall teams, especially, it's almost more frustrating with how much worse they are in Gen 9. Because if you're loading up a stall team, you're just kind of praying you don't run into any of these really strong breakers that will instantly destroy you. And it's even worse when you have a team that is ready for most stalls, and then you just face the stall that you're not ready for. So, like, no other archetype is so constantly producing these over at preview situations. And like there are definitely some, like hyper offense can be dumb in this way too.
Yeah, I was
just
like
like
HO can be kind of similar.
It's
too,
like Dragonite. Oh, the Dragonite turned out to be Terra Fairy Encore. Well, I tried.
I fought Terra Electric Thunder Punch Dragonite the other day. That was fun.
Yeah, like
that came out of nowhere.
That'll happen, and that is frustrating too. But at least in those cases, it's, I would say, not as common, and it's over fast. And then of course,
I think if a viewer gives me a team with double regen, and one of them happens to be Hydrapple or Hydrapple plus a Gliscor, I can beat stall. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
Double regen. If you've got double regen, worst case scenario, you can tie against stall. So like that's the thing though. There are so many ways that if you can build a team that you're like, I'm almost never going to lose to stall with this. But then, you run into that one stall that can, or, you're testing a team that turns out to not be as solid as you thought, and you just have these 0-100 games. I don't find that particularly fun. It's all, of course, personal. A lot of this is personal preference. I am personally a stall hater, though. I don't think that's that kind of constant, like, just matchup fishing is not my way of not my favorite way of playing the game.
That's fair. I don't mind. If I have a team that can do it, I like it. Or sometimes if I'll look at my team, I'll look at their team, I'm like, maybe. and I'll play it out. And if I win, I'm like, oof, y'all gotta leave a like. That was fire. If I'm like a crazy player or anything like that, or I call them on something, I love it because it gives you the most opportunities to flex, in my opinion.
No,
And
but that's true. No, there are definitely some stall games that are like actually big brain, long-term thinking, like beautiful games of competitive Pokemon that just are like a fine game of chess. And those are nice. But I feel like most of them aren't. Most of it's like, oh, they got a Terra Steel Goldengo, wrap it up, good game. Oh, my breaker was a Specs Lele and they had a Shedinja, wrap it up, good game. Oh, my breaker was a Specs Lele, but I have Pursuit Trap over. But yeah, no, for sure. Stall games can be super rewarding and very, very, very cool to play, but often not.
Like I said, I'm indifferent. When I play stall, I typically play it aggressively as well, which is really fun because I love capitalizing on the opponent knowing what I'm gonna do. So I'll double or I'll stay in. And there's certain stall builds that are really interesting too. Like there was a stall team, and it was classified more stall than semi-stall, and it actually had like it had, what was it? It was either Mega Diancie, Weavile, and the rest was just all like fat. And like now you might call it like a hard balance, but it was just, there were just some fun plays I made. I don't know. I don't mind it as long as I have means to deal with it.
Yeah, that's fair. No, when you play stall team and have nothing to do with that feels bad. And I will say, on like the topic of semi-stall, like those teams with just a couple offensive mons, I love semi-stall. That's one of my favorite archetypes as well. But like I think even though it's like right next to stall on that kind of spectrum of how offensive teams gets, I think it operates in a totally different way. Because like a full stall team, a hard stall team, is not going to have a reliable way of making progress. And that's why if you bring like a double regen core, it's just over. A semi-stall team is like a bunch of fat mons, but it's got some kind of core to push the game forward. And that means a world of difference in that. So like I love playing with semi-stall teams. I think they're super fun. But yeah, I'd say I put that in a very different category than stall.
Oh, but when I'm supposed to softball my Blissey, but I call your switch and I click T-Wave, this is different. A different feeling, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can, and I will say, I think the best stall players do play stall more aggressively. Those are the ones, the stall players that can overcome those seemingly over matchups, like just 0-100 matchups out of their favor, are the ones that know when to play stall like a hyper offense team. And that's definitely a skill.
Yeah, that's why I like it. But I mean, a lot of time teams I use are like, guys, I can't win this one. I'm just gonna do a different one.
Yeah.
But like, you give me boot spam or Gliscor or double regen, I was like, okay, maybe I can make progress because I can get up hazards and I can knock them with these mons and I can do something with it and I can go from there. But kind of depends.
Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure going over these hot takes with you. Guys, make sure to go subscribe to PokeAim if you aren't already. I'll have his channel link in the description, or you can just click the name in the title. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to me as well and liking the video. Aim, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, dude. It was a fun time. A lot of good discussion. Free complex bands.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.